Welcome to Panthers Ranters Podcast. Kick back and enjoy news, topics, and more for your Panthers. With your host, Andrew, and co-hosts, Michael and Logan.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to episode 13. Our third time trying this tonight. But we got a lot of topics to talk about, so we're just going to get right into it. Logan, Michael, how are you guys doing tonight? Third test run.
Andrew, you sound great tonight. I'm having a great day. This is like day of the year candidate for me. I've never had a greater day than what I'm having today.
Yeah, man, for real, such an exciting time in the middle of training camp. That's what we're all so excited about.
That's right. Football's back. Nothing else could be wrong.
We have a football game this week.
That's right. We get to watch Haynes King play football this week. That's what we're all excited for.
Yep.
We couldn't be more excited. But yeah, we'll go ahead and jump right into it. Before we get into our main topics, Michael brought us a question for the podcast tonight, and the question is...
Oh, yeah, am I taking point?
The what? Yeah, you can. Yeah, go ahead.
Point
this
here?
is your
Okay.
question. Go for it.
Gotcha. So this is the Twitter question I found for the week. So we're just using this to warm up, get our juices flowing and get in rhythm here. So name a loss that made you sit in stunned silence for 30 minutes. And it can be any type of loss. It can be a playoff loss, like a 3-point loss, a blowout, whatever you want to do.
Okay, so
go ahead, Logan.
Yeah, all right. I appreciate it. So for me, probably one of the first ones that came to mind, and I don't even totally remember my my exact reaction to this because maybe that's the bad sign and I just kind of blacked out afterwards. But it was back in the Matt Rule era where we got 2 defensive touchdowns against the Vikings, and that was not a stacked Vikings team, and we managed to lose anyway. And that was really frustrating because we had some close losses in the Matt Rule, Teddy Bridgewater era, but losing that one was just depressing because everybody talks about the turnover battle. We won it big, and we still lost the game because our offense was it wasn't even the worst offense in the league. It was like a wet paper towel of an offense.
That was also the first time in NFL history that a defensive player had scored on back-to-back plays. And we found a way to blow it.
So wanted that for Jeremy Chin, and yeah, nobody remembers it because it's a loss. You don't remember great plays from losses. So stunned silence for me after that one.
Absolutely. I have that picture hanging up in my man cave of Jeremy Chin dunking on the field goal. It was a tough game. I'm going to go ahead and do mine real quick, and it's very recent, obviously. Last year's Rams playoff game was rough. I told them before we started, I'm 23 years old, never cried over a football game until that one. And I think it was just more of we shouldn't even have been close in that game probably. And the fact that we were 3 minutes away from winning that game, I was just completely thrown off guard. Did not expect to even be in the game. And then we had a chance, hopes got really high for about a quarter, and then it just threw me back down through the floor. So it was rough. Obviously, there's other ones.
I cried tears of joy during that game, not tears not cries of depression.
After about 30 minutes of the game being over, I was like, all right, what a game it was. We were right there. Probably when we shouldn't even have been. Shows us a lot of promise for this year, but just the normal roller coaster of Panthers football. You're like, oh, we're down 2 scores. We're back. We got a chance to beat the MVP of the league, and then it just comes crashing back down again. But,
yeah, that was bad.
Anyway.
I've got 2 since I came with the question, and the Panthers certainly have provided a lot of content for us on this matter. The first one is 2024, Week 1 in New Orleans. First game of the year, first game of the Dave Canales era. And we come out and get whooped 47-10 in New Orleans to start the year. So I think we had a pick on the first play of the game by our offense. We allowed like a 50-yard touchdown on the first defensive drive. And I think it was like 30-0 at halftime, wasn't it? It was bad.
Yeah. It was
that was a doozy. And then does anyone else have a second one?
Obviously the Super Bowl, but
okay.
Cool. That's an easy answer.
Right after it.
Yeah, this second one isn't really a bad loss. It's just dumb. When we lost to the Bears in 2017, 17-3, because we allowed 2 defensive touchdowns, I was like absolutely just mind-boggled. That was the dumbest thing I've ever watched. I mean, we held the Bears to like 150 yards of total offense that day, and we still found a way to lose because our offense threw a pick six and had a fumble recovery allowed for a touchdown. Like, I don't know how that happens.
Well,
So
that's the
Truly
thing with Panthers
mind-boggling.
football. If something's never
Yep.
happened, we'll figure out a way to do it.
Yep.
So
Sad as to say.
all right, so we'll go ahead and hop into our Panthers stuff for tonight. We'll start off with injuries. Just a couple of names I'll throw out there, and we'll talk on them. Nick Scorton and Chris Brazzell out for the year. And then we had a few people actually today, I'm pretty sure it was, that returned from injury. We got Robert Hunt, Bobby Brown, and Damian Lewis back. So big injury news, I guess you could still say, coming from the second week of our training camp stuff. You know, good things coming, people coming back, and two young guys out for the year. So, Michael, we'll start with you. You know, what does this affect for us? You know, what do we go from here with their positions, and what do you see the team doing?
So I guess we'll start with the injuries.
Yeah.
Both of these suck because both like actually are expected to have a significant impact on the team, and both are long term. Like, it's not like either of these guys, and really every single injury we've had coming into camp, whether it's Aquanu, whether it's Moten, whether it's Scorton or Brazzell, like all of these are long term injuries. Like, no one's breaking their wrist and going to be out for 4 weeks. This is like, hey, you tore a ligament in your leg and you're out for the year.
Yep.
So to see it for both these guys really sucks. Starting with Scorton tearing his ACL, first off, just what a kick to the balls to your season. I mean, that's terrible right off the bat. First day of training camp,
Yep.
couldn't have one day of good vibes without something bad happening. But yeah, from a human perspective, it sucks to see him get hurt. Because you saw the work that he was putting in this offseason. You saw the grind he had when he was on the field last year. And for him to get hurt, like, that's just an absolute demoralizer. On the field, the impact that he has, like, obviously he's our, starting edge rusher. But I think the bigger concern here is, coming into the year, we kind of labeled Jalen Phillips as the injury-prone guy. Yeah. As the guy who was most likely to get hurt of those two. So for Scorton to get hurt, I think it really kind of, borderline hits the panic button on our edge room, because if Phillips goes down for any reason, our edge room is easily the worst in the league, and we're not even through training camp yet.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean,
that's my takes on that situation.
Yeah, like, it puts us on pretty thin ice. I'll say this, just to balance out, the doom and gloom a little bit. In the small sample size we got to see of Pat Jones last year, I do think we can expect a similar level of play to 2025 Nick Scorton. Jones was genuinely good. I don't think we're looking at a Phillips and nobody situation like how it was Scorton and nobody last season. Where losing Scorton does hurt us, I think, is threefold. First, it's obviously weakening the rotation. These guys rotate constantly. We had 3 every down outside linebackers. Now we have 2. That's just what it is. As of right now, we'll just need to pick and choose when we're okay, not fielding the best possible D-line unless we have somebody else. The second problem is our ability to run stunts and the like. Jones, Scorton, and Phillips are all big outside linebackers that can be flexed inside. Strong enough to take on inside O-linemen. And the passing situations and having the ability to put 3 of them on the field in those situations at once was a really exciting possibility. Creating a really deadly pass rush set. We can still do some of that, but losing Scorton is going to make it less prevalent and less effective. And then the biggest thing was Scorton was bringing that upside to the D-line. What he was doing as a rookie. Yeah, like at the age of 21.
I really kind of disagreed with, sorry to interrupt you. I think I really kind of disagreed with your point that their impact is exact total. They'll be somewhat similar. But, I mean, in the second half of the season, Nick Scorton was having, 5 pressure games with 2 TFLs and a sack. I don't think you're going to see anything like that out of Pat Jones. And that's just the reality of it.
I feel like he was our best pass rusher on the field the first 3 weeks. If I go back and watch the Jacksonville game and the Cardinals game.
But that's a low bar. Like, how many sacks did he have? 1 sack?
I think it was.
I don't know what the stats were.
I mean, he did in a sense win us the Dolphins game. I'll give him that.
That's true. That's true.
But
And then to your point too, because that was Nick Scorton at age 21. You know, like
yeah,
you kind of mind boggle to think where he could have got. You know, I do think this unit will be able to get us around a league average pass rush as is, which would be a massive improvement from last year. But our best shot at getting a genuinely good pass rush was Nick Scorton, getting a jump from Nick Scorton. And that's really where
Agreed.
the loss hurts the most. You know, like he was the primary ceiling raiser for this unit. And it's why so many reporters have listed him up there with like the 8 to 10 guys that we couldn't afford to lose, you know, despite only having 5 sacks last year. And we lost him on day 1 of training camp. You know, so now we just have to see, like, you know, how the staff wants to deal with that, if it's relying on who we've got or if they want to add another body.
I mean, yeah, and going back to your point, like, just such a good dude, too. Like, you know, obviously his work ethic, but there were multiple times last year where you felt like he was a tone setter. I think it was the Green Bay game where Bryce got hit late out of bounds, and Scorton was like the first guy off the sideline, you know, ready to go fight the guy. As a rookie.
Yeah,
so.
Man. Yeah, he's a big leader of the defense already, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he got so many double teams last year, too. And honestly, I'm not really worried about Jalen Phillips facing double teams. I think he did that a lot in Philadelphia, and he fared pretty well. But the idea of getting Nick Scorton all these one-on-one looks was just so exciting.
Yeah, it's a shame. So
100%. One thing that I will say, not as much on the edge rusher room, but as far as, you know, Chris Brazzell getting hurt, by no means am I happy that somebody got hurt, but at least it happened to probably one of our deeper position groups on the team. As far as, you know, T-Mac and Coke are going to be 1 and 2, but we have a few guys back there that can step up. Hopefully, Leggett steps up this year finally and does something. I was very ready to see what Brazzell could do, you know, deep down the field this year. The one question that I kind of had through, you know, losing Nick Scorton and looking at the free agents that were out there for edge rushers, and I've seen a few other people talking about this too, was do you even want to bring in one of these other guys? Because if, you know, we're not going to be competing for a Super Bowl this year, and these dudes are, you know, what, 34, 35 years old. Do you want to bring in somebody that old for 1 year and just kind of push him in and then he's going to be going next year? That was the biggest thing. I mean, I get you need people there, or do you rely on Pransley and Phillips and, you know, the guys behind them and Pat Jones to, you know, take it up on their own and run the room? So definitely question marks. You know, Legette's going to have to step up for the receiving room, and hopefully Pransley does the same for the edge rusher room too, and he, you know, comes up and helps us out this year. So we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. About on Chris Brazzell getting hurt is also kind of like almost like a double whammy or actually more like a triple whammy, because not only do you lose Chris Brazzell for the year, but now we're subjected to watching Xavier Legette for the year. Like, it's almost, you know, it's like you lose. It's a win, it's a loss, and a double loss in a sense. Yeah. And the other thing too is, like, okay, I understand that Legette and Brazzell are probably like around the same, I guess, overall skill set, like in terms of their overall ability. Like, they're probably around the same rating in Madden and all that. But you cannot replace Brazzell's speed. No. And while the receiving core is kind of taking a little bit of a dunk, like, with this injury, you know, the impact may not be that much, but it is still something, and it's much more than like if Legette were to get hurt, for instance. So it really, that's a tough one to swallow for sure. Like, you pretty much lose your only speed threat on the field.
Yeah, like Canales was talking about how, you know, him just stretching the field was going to help all the other receivers. So even if he wasn't going to be super productive his rookie year, he was going to be making an impact that way. You know, now we need Legette to take that step, as before it was kind of like icing on the cake.
But the other thing too is, like, Legette is nowhere near the speed threat that Brazzell is, and that's what you're losing and not replacing.
I'll say they had him running that clear out route role last year, and we'll see if he can actually turn that into productivity, because he does have some nice long speed. You know, we don't have like a true burner like you said, like Jamison Williams back at Bryce Young's Bama years. You know, that was going to be Brazzell. And I'll say this too, like, you saw how much development a player as good as T-Mac went through last year. and how we had to work through the kinks and figure out how to use him correctly, and where we're at this year, and how we want to build on the base he established year one. Brazel's not getting the benefit next year, so we're going to roll in next year with a third-round receiver, trying to figure out the best way to use him. And if we're still looking for a wide receiver 3, it's going to be hard to tell how much we want to rely on Brazel, because we're not going to be able to see how good he is at all. Because he is kind of a boomer bust prospect.
Me personally, I just don't think that Bryce is going to be taking any 60-yard shots to Brazel or even Jalen Coker. Like, I don't think Bryce is going to even try that. I'm sorry, to like get or Coker, just goes down with the speed for it. Brazel is really the only guy who I could see like potentially getting those looks just because of his pure speed.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'm looking for more shots this year, and I'm sure we'll talk about that with Idzik's play calling. But like you said, like deep bombs, that's probably off the table now.
Yeah, 100%. There's a couple things on the opposite end of injuries. We got Robert Hunt back, Bobby Brown, and Damian Lewis back are also, they worked in the day with in training camp, so that's good. They can get their chemistry going before the season starts. It's good to have them back on the field. Is there anything really you guys wanted to speak on that, or?
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'm good. I really don't have much to say on that. It's good to have him back.
Okay. Yeah, it's good to have him back. All I was going to say is that, Lewis and Hunt have been off like this entire time.
Right.
So they haven't really been building chemistry. But, Hunt's getting back, and it sounds like Lewis won't be that far behind. So good for that, especially because last week we mentioned we're going to want to run behind those road graders with some development on the right side with tackle.
Absolutely. Cool. So going into one of our last things about training camp, this is just a quick question. What is one thing that you guys so far, seeing on Twitter, seeing on social media, what is one thing that you guys have taken away from training camp so far?
Oh, boy.
I am watching this wide receiver battle still, even with Brazel out, because, we're really wondering, are we talking about keeping 6 or 7 receivers? And even if we do, you think Mechie or Horn, one of those guys probably might not make it because of the emergence of Jacine Reed. Apparently had a good camp last year. But this year, he's catching everything thrown his way. Canales is saying he can play all 3 spots. That's important for a backup. So I think we're going to have to watch, see if Horn can make his mark on special teams because, that guy's like a slot-only guy. And I think if he can't get refine his route running through contact, all that speed might not be able to get him on the roster. I know Mike K was a little down on the prospects of him or Mechie making it. Now Brazel will help that out. But, Brazel going down will help that out. But, still up in the air.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to be a great player to watch in the Hall of Fame game. That's for sure. Or really that whole group, yeah. I think. Tremaine, from all reports, seems to have had a pretty good camp. And that'll be something to watch as we continue in the preseason. In the small looks we got of Tremaine in 2025, I thought he was pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. He made some plays across the field.
Yeah. He at least showed up when his number was called, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely. Not many targets, but, it's one of the guys that rarely dropped it when he did see the ball, so.
14 catches on 18 targets. That's pretty good.
Can't be mad about that.
Yeah, my impression is that, he's a guy that's a really sure catch. He's bigger, so he's good blocking, which is important if we're running so much 11 personnel. And unfortunately, he's kind of slow, so he's never really going to be a starter, I don't think. But he seems like a really useful guy to keep around.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Michael.
The big thing I took away. So this is kind of an obvious one, so I apologize. But Bryce Young looks really good by all reports and all metrics.
That's the exact thing I was going with.
I don't think this is just like the yearly training camp hype. Like, you have genuine good reporters like Mike K saying this is the best I've ever seen him look. And I don't take words like that lightly. I think Idzik deserves some credit for opening up the playbook and really giving Bryce the chance to show his arm. And we don't know how this is going to look week 1 against real defenses that are trying to hit him and that are showing all sorts of crazy coverages. But, it's good. It's good to hear that Bryce is looking better this year than he has in any year previously.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully he's already in rhythm before the season starts, and they don't try to wait until, the last preseason game of the year to get a drive in and then pull him.
Figure out how to snap the ball and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, all the small things. Hopefully, we roll into it. If we can go into that Bears game and everybody's clicking already, it's going to be huge.
Yeah, I know Logan had a lot to say on this, so the floor is yours.
Okay, I appreciate it. I just want to say, man, this is so encouraging because, I've probably gone back and forth on Bryce Young more than anybody this year.
Last 4 years.
It feels like, yeah, man, it feels like half of the analysts I follow and expect big things from him. And the other half thinks that there are issues inseparable from his game that will continue to hold him back from being a guy with franchise QB money. And the problem is, I see both their points, and without being a quarterback expert, it's really hard to come to a definitive conclusion when there's so many examples of both arguments. They say he has trouble winning from the pocket and staying on time thanks to his wonky footwork, while he's dropping back. And I think there are plenty of examples of that. And I do think part of that has come from his size. I'm sorry, there's a reason he's on the extreme end of the spectrum there, but we know that's not an insurmountable problem. Because on the flip side, it isn't hard to find tons of highlight-worthy plays, where he's got a beautiful dime from the pocket, thrown from excellent anticipation. So I think where I landed with this year is that, yes, he's probably had more of a hand in the problems on the offense last year than a lot of fans want to admit. But at the same time, I also think it's really hard to imagine a quarterback that does as many things well as he does not working out. I think he's already head and shoulders above starting QB level. And with all the quarterback development we've seen around the league lately, it isn't hard to imagine him, finally proving that you could run a high-octane offense with him. You can have a very successful season with him. And I think the reason that I bring all that up is because the path for him involves near elite-level accuracy, elite-level timing, chemistry with the offense, and that is what you get to see in training camp like this. By all accounts, he's been lighting it up. He's throwing it right where it needs to be. There's so many clips where the DB coverage is pretty good, but because it's such a dime, the receiver is able to come down with it, and he throws such a catchable ball too. It's not like Cam, where it's 100-mile-per-hour ball or nothing.
And behind him.
So yeah. So I'm really excited for that. If nothing else, what we've been seeing from these strong performances in camp. One other thing I'll throw in there too. I know Michael mentioned Mike K. I even saw Scott Fowler say that I think he predicts a big contract from him this year, based off of what he's been seeing in camp. And that guy can be pretty critical. I don't think he says that for nothing, because I remember raking him over the coals for being critical of Cam Newton a couple years ago.
I mean, both these guys are
excited.
Yeah, Mike K and Scott Fowler are both journalists that I at least respect.
Yeah.
Something like David Newton said it.
Yeah.
So that would be, true. I can at least, when these two guys say something, I actually kind of believe it. And the other thing this shows me too is that I think Idzik actually might be a good offensive coordinator. And I know Logan mentioned this before the show, but there was a report that came out earlier this week that some people inside the organization believed that Canales was doing too much to really keep Bryce on a leash. And it seems like Idzik is kind of taken that leash off, so to say. And I think what you've seen in training camp so far is definitely reflecting that.
Yeah, 100%. One thing that I've seen on this too, and it's kind of goes with the Dave Canales thing, was when they benched Bryce for Andy Dalton. Kind of looking back on it, it's different seeing how it played out now. But looking back on it, what was Dave Canales' mindset going through that? Did he have any hope for Bryce to ever play again, or? Obviously Andy got in a car wreck, broke his thumb or whatever, and Bryce had to play again. So it was like he was slightly taking the leash off a little bit and kind of opening up a little bit at a time, but it was never fully open for Bryce. So that was one of my questions when I seen that. So, it could be a true thing on why Dave was conservative with Bryce. Maybe early on he didn't want him to be the quarterback, but now kind of that they've grown their chemistry together, and hopefully Idzik opens it up for them.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. Hopefully we see a more consistent passing offense this year.
Yeah, I think so. Because, apparently by all accounts, Idzik seems like a really smart guy. And then I think there's something to be said about just being able to be in tune with your quarterback and stuff, and you're not a head coach trying to go around, figure out a bunch of other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. So going on to our next and I guess final topic here, we have a football game this week. We have the Hall of Fame game Thursday night at 8 p.m. In front of the whole world, so hopefully this goes well. What are you guys looking forward to the first game of the year?
Man, I know what Andrew's looking forward to. It starts with a H.
Haynes King, baby.
I'm really excited for that too because, honestly, okay, so I'll admit I've been a little bit of a Bryce Young skeptic.
How sad were you guys when it was announced that Kenny Pickett was starting?
I was pissed.
I was pretty sad.
I know, I was pissed too. I was like, damn it. Give me my 4 quarters of Haynes King.
But yeah. Luckily it says, I think they're planning on giving him a lot of time, even if I guess they're just kind of warming up Kenny Pickett because he is the primary backup. But
I know, but still, give my GOAT the start. That's all I want.
Yes, because like I said, I was a little bit of a Bryce Young skeptic, so there was a part of me that wanted us to bring in, a little bit of like a developmental backup, like Will Levis or something, just in case that Bryce Young doesn't work out. I know that's a long shot and everything, and Bryce Young is way more likely to work out than someone like Levis, but not that I expect Haynes King to really ever do something, but I do like seeing somebody with like a crazy arm and athletic upside get a chance, to develop through this system, so that we have a better backup than like Jack Plummer comes down the road. And I understand like going for a guy like Kenny Pickett, that's a sure backup and everything. But I'm just excited to see a Haynes King on the roster is all I'm saying.
See, yeah, like first game of the year, first game for everyone this year. Like I just want to be entertained. That's it.
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett's not going to do that.
Haynes King
exactly. Will, yeah, Haynes King will. So.
One big thing that I hope is they just actually run through some of the plays in the playbook. I know it's not going to be a full open playbook for them, but I hope we see a little bit of something, which I know we should later throughout preseason, but don't just run the ball and then run, pass, and punt.
Yeah. I'm hoping, obviously we need that to get a good look at the receivers, and that's a position battle that still matters, even with Brazel out, because we're not deciding who's going to start anymore, but we are deciding who's going to make the team. I'm curious if we're going to see Sam Hecht. There's an infamous clip of him getting walked back by Cam Jackson. So I like to see maybe some redemption there, hopefully. And I do like Cam Jackson, but that was rough.
I guess I should start with this. So Canales was talking about who's going to start and really play this week in the Hall of Fame game. And the explanation that he gave regarding playing time is that no starters, or even those who could start, will touch the field. That could make for a pretty lame game, but I'm personally excited for these rookies. In particular, the guys in the later rounds, the Sam Hecks, the Zakai Weekleys, the Will Lees, like those are the people I'm excited to watch, and they should all be in the starting lineup and getting a good amount of snaps.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm a little curious about Will Lee because he has been getting time with the first team. Obviously, he's still behind Mike Jack and Horn, but I'm curious. I am really curious about his role. Like, if we're moving Horn to nickel, sometimes is Will Lee considered a starter or what?
I don't know what they think. I'll tell you, that cornerback room is maybe one of the most like after Horn and Jackson, you really have no clue who like the third corner is behind them. And not just like, I'm not talking about like the slot guy, I'm saying like the number 3 corner.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the Panthers depth chart took the cop out and they listed 2 cornerback slots.
Yep.
So it's not really telling.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, should be interesting. We'll see. Well, I hope it's interesting, I suppose.
It's a preseason game.
Yeah, it's a preseason game. Can't count on it for too much.
Just hope it's entertaining. And enjoy football being back.
That's right. Finally, it
So,
came
what
to
are you
watch.
guys doing for the Hall of Fame game? Just out of curiosity.
Cooking on the grill and drinking a beer. I'll be home for that one.
Yeah, I might just record it on the DVR and go back for it. I'm not
Dang.
sure.
Wow, Logan. Way to celebrate the first game of the year.
I might even go buy a Haynes King jersey and wear it during the game.
Well, it's going to be, there's a party that I'm going to, so.
Nice.
Hall of Fame game party.
That's right. Hey, Luke will be there. Luke Kuechly will be on
Oh, yeah,
TV.
Luke Kuechly's getting the Hall of Fame.
That's right. Not only is there Panthers football to be happy about, Luke Kuechly's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, should be good.
Yeah. Year 2
All
later.
right, do we have anything else we really want to talk about here?
I think that about wraps it up. I'm excited to see how these positional battles develop and everything.
I feel like that was a pretty quick show.
Yeah. Well, we should have a lot to talk about after this week. Hopefully we'll see something from the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah, we're going to, we're either going to see some shit or we'll see some good shit. So, yeah.
That's a great way to put it.
All right. Well, I guess that wraps up this episode, y'all.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for listening. Hopefully we got Andrew's mic working next week.
Sorry, guys.
It happens. We handled it well. It was about the execution that matters.
That's
and
right.
The show must go on. We did a good job.
Last week.
So, yeah, it was Logan the weeks before. So, I'm sure, next week I'll only have one earbud working or something like that. But, all right, guys. Well, have a good night and keep pounding.
Yes, sir. Keep pounding. We'll see you guys next week.